Hey, 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 everybody. Welcome to a cold February 2025. We are here for the off night. Yay! Before you get too excited, let's welcome your host with the most, Mark Sweetman. Yay!
All right. Thank you very much, Susan.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. And thanks for filling in for Andy. I don't know. Andy told me last night. I saw him last night. He said he was going to be here, but he is not. We'll let that go. All right. Looking at the bottom. Look at the bottom line down there. It's our 250th episode of the Off Night. We've done a quarter of a millennium. How about
Yep.
that?
How about that?
So let me see. What are the other things we like to remind people at the beginning of our show here? If you like us, I should bring that up at the end too. If anybody makes it to the end, if you like
For
us,
250 is just 7 days, not really a quarter of the millennium, but you go ahead.
Okay, all right, whatever. It's a big chunk of shows. Anyway, if you like our show, hit the like button. I don't know where it is on your browser. When I look at it on my browser, it's different from my Apple browser than it is from my Google browser than it is from my television browser. So depends on where it's at. Just hit the like button. Also, if there's a subscribe button, please subscribe. That helps us as far as getting the show out there and seen. If you want to know what the show is about, if you haven't viewed it before, and with the exception of the beautiful woman on the other side of the screen here, it's a bunch of old men who have been in the comedy business. Probably the least longest is Jason at 10 years, but Andy, Sam, and I have all been doing this at least 35. I've been doing it more than 45, and Sam's been doing it the longest. He's our old timer, and he went on to other things too. And we always talk about that. He's got great stories, showbiz stories, and other things. But he's an astute gentleman. He's been broadcasting for about the last 2 months from either a hospital room or a rehabilitation center. We'll talk about that when he gets out there. But that's so. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and the address there, youtube.com/@the-off-night.
Like button.
Oh yeah, I'm supposed to point to where. Yeah, there you go. But I don't see the like button on my screen because I'm
I
on
don't
the
know.
screen.
It's over on the side.
I know, but I'm on the wherever it is. I don't know. Maybe it's that side. I don't know. But
I
anyway,
think it's over here.
you know what? I got another. No. It looks like I took down my YouTube.
Over
So I'm
there.
on StreamYard.
Push the like
We
button.
use StreamYard as our transmitting platform to YouTube. One, they allow us to do it. YouTube allows that. We used to do it on Facebook. That's another story. YouTube is much nicer to us, and they allow monetization if we ever got up to like 10,000 viewers. But anyway, if we ever got up that high, they would allow that.
Maybe by show 10,000, you'll have that many.
Yeah.
When you add them all together.
Between Jason and Andy and I, we got enough boobs that you'd think we'd get a lot of clicks. But anyway.
Gee, thanks. Do you want your poem?
Oh, forgot about that. Why don't I go through I'm going to go through the stuff that we put on the screen here first, and then we'll go to your poem. Here is, if you want to watch us on YouTube, which we would prefer you do. You're probably seeing this on YouTube. This goes live from 8 to 9 on Monday night, and then it stays on YouTube until next Monday when we replace it with next Monday's 8 to 9 show. But here, and we do a different link every Monday night so that you'll go to that address to watch tonight's show. If you go to our page that I said subscribe to on that last graphic that we had there, that will allow you to look at all the episodes for as far back as we've been on YouTube, which has been about 3 years now. Okay, and that is where we're at. And then now, if you want to be on the show, you have to go to this address here, that StreamYard address. You have to have a browser and a camera and a microphone hooked up to it. You can do it on your phone. A couple of our guys use their phones to do it. It's however you connect to however you go to Zoom. But you're just not going to go Zoom. You're going to go through.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah.
Maybe you should work on tightening that up a little bit. So join us if you can, if you want.
All right. How about you host the show?
I probably could, but
Yeah,
I don't
that'd be
want
great. Yeah, because and I'll just sit back and let you do it. All right. Anyway,
Live
so
8 to 9 Eastern time, 5 to 6 Pacific.
super. All right. All right. Now we usually start off with Andy. I see Andy in the dashboard, so I know he's here. But let's get to Susan because we always start off with Susan's topical poem. So let's go there and take it away.
Here's your poem. Inspector generals are suing for the illegal firings by Musk. Don and Elon ask you to not shine a light in the dusk. 19 Democratic AGs sued Trump to halt Doge from sensitive information that Musk accessed and exposed. Then Doge also had a big oopsie in their ridiculous cuts. Nuclear weapons employees, pink slips, a mistake, that is nuts. Musk and Trump declared a coup per Arizona's AG Chris Mays. Meanwhile, the fires are out where LA recently was ablaze. In Kentucky, there was a devastating storm flood. And now in California are new slides of mud. Perhaps the world is falling apart. What are we to do? Maybe I'll leave humans behind and move into a zoo. That's your poem.
All right, super. Thank you very much. I remember when we started doing this; these were always lighthearted looks at the news, and now anymore it's all this tragedy.
Well, there are a plethora of lawsuits against Musk and Doge and Trump for
well, can you stay a little? Can you stay a little
breaking
longer?
the law.
Can you stay a little longer because I know you guys discussed this
Sure.
at work, and Susan is a government paralegal, so she might be able to speak a little bit. So let's bring out our regulars from. Oh, well, first of all, my regular sidekick's been with me the long. He was part of our Unclub Sunday night show for many years, but I've known him from way back in the 80s when we were both doing stand-up. We both actually made a living at it. And so when I asked him, he said he would be my sidekick, my announcer. He's my Andy Richter. He's my Ed McMahon. Here he is. Here's Andy Jensen, everyone.
Well, hi, guys. Thanks. That's a really nice
Hey.
intro. Yes. Yes. It is getting
You're
a little dark.
tardy. You'll be docked. No.
Susan, it is getting a little dark. A little dark. You know, maybe some hope at the end of it. Like, hope.
Susan,
I thought moving to a zoo sounded just fine.
That was hope. Okay. All right. I get it. I get it.
Susan did the intro for us tonight because I didn't see you here at 8 o'clock. I always want to go off at 8 o'clock. So
well, here's the thing. I actually showed up at 7:45, and I saw you talking to a skinny man who was doing stuff.
A skinny man who was doing stuff.
Now,
Gabe?
Who was the guy? You were talking to a guy.
Oh, Gabe! I was talking to Gabe. Yeah, we were.
Our son.
We had some household key locks missing their keys. And I didn't bring it up to him. Gabe is. I love my son, but if you tell him something, and he thinks that he's responsible, and he can't resolve the problem, he just internalizes it, and he makes everything.
Mark lost his keys, and he usually comes to me for them, and they weren't where I usually keep them because I'd given them to Gabe. So I said to Mark,
so Mark didn't really lose. If Susan gave them to Gabe, how does that make Mark losing the keys? I just don't. I mean, how does everything become my fault? I just don't.
Why don't you keep your own set of keys if you're so concerned about them? He's so used
like
to
watching
being
Kelly
able.
and Ryan right now,
He's so used to being able to just find my backup set of everything. Because I'm organized. I'm the Girl Scout.
Yes.
I
yes.
put stuff away.
Got it.
Yeah,
When
I'm the
they
comedian.
look
People
around,
like me.
Susan keeps them.
This
He
seems to
panics.
be a long-term war that's been going on between you two that will never be resolved. So that's okay. It's okay.
Well, I mean, what we have looked forward to is next to Sam in his bed. So let's bring Sam out here. Before we went on, he was telling us about his hospital roommate and his hospital roommate's wife. Here's Sam Greenfield, our regular.
Cool.
Let me just say that this conversation about the keys for our listening audience must be riveting.
Yes.
Oh yeah, more of that bullshit, please.
Yeah.
I have the keys. I'm the wife. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Christ.
This is a human interest. This is human interest. Okay.
The only thing worse than this is Barbara telling me I'm wrong. Everybody tuning into this?
Well, at
Please,
least we don't have as many episodes of that as you do. Of the Barb and Sam show.
Buenas noches, Yehudi.
I'm
Anyway,
just saying, if Mark's missing a key that he needs, he should have put his key in a safe place, not expect me to have it.
Well, I have.
How about we don't have any keys at all?
How about I start tearing up?
Hey, who are we missing? Jason.
Jason, we're getting there. You're getting there.
Why don't we just get a shot of Andy's crotch?
Amy, who?
Andy, that's the guy on the lower right.
Susan, this is the key. Key to the situation. A necklace of keys.
Yes.
More keys, more problems.
I've already got the carabiner, Andy. Look, I already got that going for me.
But you got to hang it around your neck. You see what I'm saying? That way you never
really.
lose.
I need something for Susan to grab onto around my neck. I don't think so.
So what happened while we're on the subject of keys? Mark's car kept warning him, low battery in his key. So he didn't do anything about it until then. He couldn't start his car.
I'm starting to tear up.
I don't know if this is a Lucy episode or if this is a.
The only thing worse than this is a Lucy episode where she stuffed chocolate in her mouth.
Well, I'm gonna go back and transcribe this episode, and it's going to be Susan and I will bring it to the Unclub, and we'll do the first episode of our version of the Bickersons. So,
by the way, on this is Oscar month on PCF. You know what was on today? It's fine. It's fine. I'm on another line, please. You have to stop talking to me. I can't hear you and them. Please.
Hi. All right. Let's add another voice. Let's add another voice to confuse your roommate. Here's Jason Grant from Ypsilanti.
Hey, Jason.
Hey guys, I love hearing Mark and Susan put on the Taylor Players Present Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lost
There we go.
little bugger, did you?
Makes me wish I was Sandy Dennis.
That's very funny. Very funny.
Oh God, yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
only people over 65 got that joke. Okay.
Anyway,
as
the
long as we're
apartment
going
was on TV today.
If you're, I just have to put on our subscription line back on the bottom of the screen. If you like this kind of banter, there you go. Like and subscribe.
Then seek help.
Exactly.
No, they had the apartment on, and they had Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh, okay. Good.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good shows.
Yes, there you go.
Both of them. I want to see both of those again. Although, you know what? My parents both died before they were 80. I got to start. When I talk about I want to see something or read something again, I got to do it because I don't have that much time left.
Well, both mine kicked off in their mid-50s, thank God. I mean,
yeah. Who did?
His parents.
My parents.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's terrible.
Well, as my mother said, I lived like a hillbilly on Saturday night my whole life. I wasn't expecting to get old, and
Yeah.
we're
Did
stranded.
she smoke and drink?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Well, there
Do
you
you?
have it. Yeah.
If you don't smoke and drink, you're gonna outlive them by
I
20
gave up
years.
smoking and drinking in the 90s. George Bush the first was still in office when I gave it up.
There you go.
Although to my mother's credit, she asked that she be cremated and that her remains be scattered on my father's pickup truck so she could haunt it for the rest of time. Which I like.
Speaking of Saturday night, did anybody see the
It was
special?
it was fabulous.
Yeah,
I saw.
I thought mostly it was really, really good.
I've
The,
watched it.
the best thing was Bill Murray doing the top 10
doing it.
weekend update people.
On the news, yeah.
That was good. That was good. I like
didn't see
everything
it.
I've seen. So I've only seen it through Adam Sandler's song, which I thought was great.
Did either
He's
Chevy
quite a
Chase or
talented
Dennis
guy.
Miller?
What's that?
I didn't hear you, Jason.
I say, did either Dennis Miller or Chevy Chase make an appearance?
Chevy Chase was in the audience, and
Okay.
Dennis Miller did not.
Why
Okay.
didn't Dennis Miller go? He was a big part of that show.
Someone else didn't of significance. I can't remember who.
They played a huge montage of Chevy Chase's pratfalls.
Yeah, that was
It was very funny.
Yeah, the cast likes watching you get injured.
Well,
A very touching montage with Gilda Radner in it.
Yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
Well, we have a subscription to Peacock, and there's a lot of additional stuff that they had made during the week on Peacock. So we're probably going to watch that too. But I've only seen about 2/3 of the 3 hours.
Also, Adam Sandler got very choked up when he started singing about Chris Farley.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did Chris Farley and Norm Macdonald in that same verse.
But by the way, evidently Chris Farley was enormously popular because at his funeral, Chris Rock was sobbing hysterically.
Yeah. I can see that.
He died young, man. He was like 33.
He was like 33, I think.
Yeah.
He died at the same time as Belushi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except people actually like Chris Farley.
Now, I haven't seen the whole thing so far, but my favorite line so far is from David Spade, where he disappears from the sketch and he's back sitting down in the audience. And
Yeah,
he goes,
I get the gist.
Yeah, I get the gist of it. That was so funny.
I get the gist of it.
Did Jane Curtin get rolled through for a moment or two, or no?
I don't think she wasn't there.
I didn't see her. Lorraine Newman had a big part, though.
No, thank goodness. I love her.
You know who Lane Newman's daughter is, right?
No.
Hannah Einbinder from Hacks.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's good.
I always thought Lorraine Newman and Gary Newman should have gotten together because at least their stationery would have stayed
And
the
Paul
same.
Newman.
And can you imagine what a throuple that was.
And Randy Newman. All
and
of
Randy,
them.
all of
And
them
Alfred E.
together.
Newman.
Oh, wow. That would be a hell of a family. There you go.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the reasons I could be wrong about this, but I'm so rarely am, is that Jane Curtin, once she left the show, completely extricated herself from anything to do with that show.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, given
Well, I know.
when
I was my 5 years as MC at the Improv, the only Saturday Night Live from that guys from that group. Of course, we saw Kevin Nealon and David Spade and Dana Carvey all the time at the Improv. But from that original group, the only ones we saw were John Lovitz and Lorraine Newman.
Yep.
Okay.
It's just my understanding is that by the last year of Jane and Gilda, and it had gotten so toxic, especially in sort of that, because there was that one year when Dan Aykroyd had left and Belushi had left, and it was under somewhat cloudy circumstances. And late 70s, way too much cocaine. I mean,
Jane went on to have a big career, though. She had a couple of great shows. She had that one with Susan St. James.
Yeah, and then she was on
for years, and then
Rock from the Sun.
Third from the Rock.
Third Rock from the Sun was hilarious.
And she, so I mean, she had a 25-year career in TV.
She made some films.
Yeah,
right?
good ones.
Yeah. She's an OnlyFans creator. No, hold on, never mind. That's
The,
somebody else.
the thing that drove me nuts about Kate and Allie was Susan St. James in one of the episodes drives herself. She gets lost. She can't find her way around the Greenwich Village. I thought this is horse shit. Or unless you're in dementia, catch a fucking cab.
That show, Kate and Allie, Susan, when we were there visiting your cousin on the Upper West Side, that Kate and Allie show was being taped at the Ed Sullivan Theater. CBS, CBS, I guess CBS has always had the Ed Sullivan Theater. I mean, you know it for the Ed Sullivan show, and you know it for the Letterman show and the late night, now Colbert. But that theater was also used to tape Kate and Allie.
Oh wow! Wow.
Well,
Is that guy commenting? Is your roommate commenting on Kate and Allie or the Sullivan Theater? What is he babbling about?
Anyhow, if you haven't seen that Saturday Night Live 50th special, it's really good. It's good.
All
right, Susan, we got you here for extra time to talk about these lawsuits against the administration. What can you tell us about these lawsuits?
Well, I don't have a list in front of me, but new ones are being filed every day, and there's a plethora of lawsuits against Trump, against Musk, and against Doge, and for various different reasons. I was also listening to NPR, and they talked about the courts, but basically the courts are all in agreement to freeze these executive orders until they get a chance to rule on them, but they're expediting the hearings, and the briefings have to be coming in pretty quick. They're not dragging their feet, but judges actually on NPR, they were talking about how judges make the rules, but have, people are just supposed to abide by them. And I'm sorry, but a judge can hold you in contempt of court and actually lock you up for not abiding by their orders. Judges actually do have authority. It's not just a piece of paper.
But isn't that why Trump pardoned the January 6th reactionaries, so that he would have like a vigilant?
That's different than like Trump's executive order to abolish the Constitution and say that you can't just be a citizen if you're born here. He can't do that. So of course this is going to be litigated, and the judges are going to rule. And
but here's what I'm saying. I think it was missed, because what I'm saying is Trump, before he does all this stuff, he pardons the January 6th insurrectionists, because now here's what's going to happen. We're
going to have a civil war.
I'll stop talking now.
Go for it. I'm listening.
Okay, what they're going to say, I think he did that because you need the fear of being killed for you to give up the things that they're giving up in a lot of these departments. Give us the names and the addresses of all the employees. Give us the payments that you make to every. In other words, get all this stuff, or guess who's outside the door.
That was the biggest oops, that they didn't get the contact information of all these people they laid off. So here they give pink slips to all these people that are in charge of our nuclear stockpile, and they laid them all off on Thursday.
They did reverse
only to realize that that's a huge oops, and want to call them back to work and rescind those layoffs on Friday.
Yeah.
And they had no contact information. I guess they laid off everybody from HR as well, so they didn't know how to recall all these employees to come back and take care of.
Well, where else are they going to go? They're going to come back. I mean, how many other nuclear?
Come on in, Russia and China. Our nuclear weapons are here for you. Come on
huge in. Oops. And the other thing is, Elon Musk. There are just like 3 categories that the president can name. He can't just, in a proclamation, at least these are in the lawsuits. And I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just merely giving you the layman's description of what's going on. But when he appointed Musk and this new position, Musk wasn't confirmed by Congress or the Senate, which is really what needs to happen if it's an appointee or a lesser appointee. He's none of those, which makes him then an employee. And as an employee, people don't answer to him. He would have to answer to the people in charge of these departments, but that's not what's happening. Elon Musk is just running rampaging through our departments and closing and shuttering doors, and he's answering to nobody but Trump. And that's not okay. Trump does not have that kind of authority to create a department and put a guy in it that answers to nobody. So there's your lawsuit.
And to think, you guys, all you had to do was leave him alone. You would have had Ron DeSantis to run against, and you would have won in a 47-state landslide. Every time you went in there to rattle Trump's cage, he just got more powerful and more money and more money and more powerful. And now look what you got.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that music video,
you could have
Mark,
had the freaky little governor from Florida with the lifts in his shoes, and you could have set him up and knocked him over like a bowl, and it would have been glorious. But no, it didn't work out that way. No,
what are you talking about?
I'm talking about 3 years ago when Trump was basically a spent force, and even the Republicans had had enough of his shit. And at that point, they were like everyone was like getting on the Ron DeSantis train. And Ron DeSantis is a good governor of Florida, but a horrific national candidate who would have ensured a Republican landslide loss, not only at the executive level, but he would have never been able to pull off to the House and the Senate. And it is my assertion, and it is a counterfactual, so we'll never know exactly, that because you went in and kind of rattled Trump's cage, that pumped life into his campaign and took life out of DeSantis's.
Who rattled Trump's cage? That's what I want to know.
DeSantis.
Well, the FBI, the guys going in, I basically see.
So you're saying that by us pursuing the January 6 people, that rattled his cage?
Not the January 6 people, but the stuff where you raided his house. The FBI went in there with orders to use lethal force. The various aspects of what I would call lawfare. You guys can call whatever you like.
You mean when they came in with a legally issued warrant?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can get anybody. I've been arrested with a legally issued warrant. I mean,
well, you did have the drugs. Anybody. You did have the drugs, right?
Right. A judge has reviewed those.
As a matter of fact, when I was arrested, I had no drugs on me whatsoever. I had just sold them within half an hour when I was busted, thank God, or I would have gotten 10 years minimum.
So you didn't have well, guess what? You didn't have the money to get off on a technicality. Shame on you for not being a billionaire.
And I tried my best.
Did you contact Trump? You could have contacted him at that time. I'm sure you could have.
At least, if nothing else, I didn't snitch on anybody, though. So when they said they're going to put me away for 100 years, I said, well.
Speaking of warrants, this is some of the other things that are going on with all this roundup, all these alleged illegal immigrants, but they're not just rounding up illegal immigrants. They're rounding up people who are legal immigrants.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
That was in Texas that was arrested by ICE, and he's in detention, and he's here legally. He followed the rules. He got in legally, and he is an immigrant, but he is here legally, and he's still sitting in detention. And there's a family that was in Milwaukee that were arrested and detained by ICE for speaking Spanish. And it turns out they're Americans. So
they're going to have a very hard time. They're going to have a very, very hard time finding illegal immigrants, period. Because what they don't understand is these people have lived here for a long time under the radar. And if they think that these troglodytes at ICE are going to find them, they're idiots. Oh, and by the way, speaking of idiots,
Spanish in Milwaukee is profiling. If that's going to get you arrested, how is that not profiling? Sorry.
Speaking of idiots, a friend of mine works at the Defense Department, and he said there is no one living on this planet who has skin on his body that is dumber than Hegseth. He said he is such a monumental embarrassment. You know who's doing okay though? Who's really doing okay, amazingly, is Rubio.
Yeah.
Rubio's not bad. Yeah, Rubio's doing all right.
Yeah. Well,
You know, but they say Hegseth is just.
I mean,
Hegseth spends most of his time saying, "I can't do that." Oh, gee.
Don't forget the very first Secretary of Defense.
You taking off,
out
Susan?
Of a window.
All right, Susan's gone. Bye, Susan. We'll see you next week.
Don't forget the very first Secretary of Defense was removed by throwing him out a window.
That's true.
Forstall. They defenestrated him.
Well, he was a manic depressive.
Well, the story is that he gotten to be kind of a problem, and it's like, well, we have to solve this problem.
Well, because he was a manic depressive.
Yeah. Well, he had to be. And we can't just let him go. So, you know.
But see, that's what happens when you piss off. That's what happens when you piss off P. Diddy.
Oh, yes, of course.
Well, at any rate, the Department of Defense has taken down many a secretary over its life.
Robert McNamara,
another good, a guy who lived in the town I live in. I mean, 410. Oh God, what is this street? 410. Oh shit, it's over there by the hospital. I go by his house all the time. Yeah, he raised his kids here in Ann Arbor and was living in Ann Arbor when Kennedy selected him to be Secretary of Defense. Mm-hmm. He was at the time president of Ford Motor. Yeah, he was what is it? Orchard Hills, 410 Orchard Hills. Very nice colonial, very nice place. Oh well, there's a little bit of that.
Little history.
Yeah, a little history lesson. Andy drives around Ann Arbor. He knows all the place where JFK proposed the Peace Corps, and
of course, yes, that's my favorite.
And the train station where Nixon proposed the not Peace Corps, and you know,
there's the house where the assassin. I think it was Garfield.
Garfield, yeah.
So his assassin and Garfield stayed at the same hotel.
Yes, not the same night though.
Not the same night.
Different night. You know, so I mean, we graduated the gentleman who helped get a lot of Jews saved at the end of World War II, and we also gave Papa Doc Duvalier his doctorate in public health. So,
do you know who was a very good ally of Papa Doc Duvalier?
Barry Goldwater.
Mother Teresa.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's true.
I know it's true.
Wow.
It doesn't surprise me. Barry Goldwater was a big fan of his.
Well, because he got free trips to Santo Domingo.
Who didn't? Come on. Hey, speaking of which, did you see that Mayor Adams is having the charges against him slowly but surely dropped?
Oh yeah.
So,
well, dropped it. I have a question for you,
yes,
Jason.
Yes, sir.
Is there one of the presidential assassins buried in the Ann Arbor over there next to the
I don't think so. I've heard. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I don't think so. And I'd heard the guy who killed Garfield was an anarchist, and then he went to the high school, which was the Freeze building, which is now gone.
Yeah.
So
he was voted.
It was like a local one of the guys who was like from a local up in the Thumb.
Yeah.
Came out.
He was voted most likely to kind of succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think it was Garfield. Oh no, it was McKinley who chose Teddy Roosevelt for his vice president, and the leadership of the Republican Party was aghast, and they said, "It's your job to live."
Was that Chogosh or Guiteau?
Well, they gave it to him because they thought it would take him out of power.
But which assassin was it? Was it Chogosh or Guiteau who assassinated McKinley?
Guiteau.
I thought it was Guiteau, but
Guiteau, and he's like one of the first to be electrocuted, if memory serves. Not quite the first, but he's up there.
You know, it's interesting that of the two guys, Chogosh and Guiteau, only one of them was gruntled. The other one was disgruntled.
Oh, dear,
they always describe them as disgruntled office seekers.
I was very slow, but
yeah. Well, I mean, rumor has it that Bernie Sanders is looking at organizing another run for the presidency, And it's like, Bernie, you've been running for the presidency since Eugene Debs was alive.
Well, listen, Bernie's campaign slogan is, "What? If you don't think you like that old, if you don't think you like the elderly Jew, what do you?"
If you
Oh
don't like
man,
those onesies, then you gotta vote for me. Those onesies are against world life. I don't want those onesies to be seen anywhere. So vote for me.
This, and you guys can tell me I'm wrong.
I'd like some lentil soup.
I think Bernie would have done a much better job than Biden. I think if you'd put Bernie in there and back in 20,
I think he would do a better job than a lot of
the
them.
Democratic Party under Hillary, he would have been great. Here we go.
She should have chosen him for vice president back in 2016. She'd have been president. That would have.
The thing that makes him great is that he's fearless.
Yeah.
That he never says, "Oh, gee, I shouldn't say that." That never enters his mind. And
Well,
if he,
in fact, his mind still works.
And if he debated Trump, the Trump team would stop the fight.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say. Probably, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not saying he'd win because I think there's two. I think there's two ethnicities. No, two things that can't win in this country. One is Jewish and one is a woman.
I don't know about that, Sam. Really? I mean, come on.
Has either one won?
That doesn't. Well, no black person had been president till Obama, but then it was. I mean, you know.
I didn't say black. I said a woman.
I heard you. I understand. I mean, shit. Do you remember Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman?
Did she win?
No, but she did make she did make the effort.
I ran for student council president. I made more of a dent than she did.
I don't know about that.
I ran for student council president. I actually won.
No. Her thing was, oh, that's nice. Oh, look, she's running. That's so cute. No.
The Democrats had to acknowledge that black women were an important part of the party, which in the early 1970s, the leadership of the Democrat Party was not so willing to do.
Yeah.
But after Barbara Jordan's keynote speech, they had to, because it was the only way the Democrat Party could go forward at that point, because the Republicans trounced them.
That's still true.
Leon, I can't pronounce his name.
Banana? Jaworski?
Sociologist or whatever. Some very bizarro name here. Leon something.
Leon the
Kilgosh.
Kilgosh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know the most interesting story for me to come out of assassination attempts is what happened to Joseph Zangara.
What happened to him?
FDR.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, was in Miami.
Yeah.
And a guy named Joe Zangara tried to kill FDR. And when he raised his gun, he stood up because he was like my height. He had to stand on a chair. It's true. And when he stood on the chair, a woman knocked his hand away and killed the mayor of Chicago, Anton Cermak, whose last words were, "I'm glad it was me," to Roosevelt. "I'm glad it was me and not you." To which Roosevelt said, "No shit."
I bet no shit has been said a lot, but nobody really quotes that.
You know when they get a black box out of an airliner, the words you hear mostly, this is no kidding, is "oh shit."
I believe it.
Oh yeah, no,
probably true.
Yeah, having flown airplanes, I get that. I mean, and the most recent one to crash at Toronto. How do you explain to your dispatcher that, by the way, the flight didn't end the way we had hoped? The airplane was on fire and upside down on the tarmac. I've got to go. We got paperwork to fill out.
I think if I was Boeing, I would be touting the fact that it flipped over and it survived.
Well, I think one of the things that wasn't said was one of the most oft-used quotes in the plane that turned upside down is, "Well, there goes a perfectly nice suit."
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's a Bombardier. I would say Bombardier, regional jet. It's an RJ, Canadian manufacturer. I'm just wondering what they did to get turned upside down, because they must have ground looped or something along those lines.
Well, they said it was the wind. There was a heavy wind coming in. It was
Well,
like
I'm
up
heavy
to
and
40. It was up to 40,
40 knots. Yeah,
40 knots.
I could see if the crosswind component wasn't correct, and if they were using the wrong runways, and if they were beyond limits, that could happen. You know, that happened to an airplane the Michigan basketball team was on about 8-9 years ago. The crosswind had been so bad that actually you'd had a split elevator situation, and they tried to take the airplane off, and it didn't work, and they managed to abort the takeoff and not kill everybody.
They did. The wind here in New York was 58 miles an hour.
Oh, it's been horrific for the past day or so around here.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably getting the same thing they were, you know. And
Now,
yeah,
one of you asked me about my stay in the hospital. What was it you wanted to know?
I think that was Mark.
Yeah, I did say something about that.
Well, here's the story.
Well, before we went, let me just set this up by saying before we went live and before you guys got here, Sam and I were talking about his particular situation in his room, and the funny part that he told me was about the wife of his roommate. So that's I didn't know whether you want to get into that or not.
I have to keep it a little undercover right now. So to go,
okay.
You're in the Leon.
So here's what's happening to me.
Yeah.
The physical therapy. There's two kinds of therapies you get here. Physical therapy. One is physical therapy, and one is occupational therapy. Now, for reasons that escape me, occupational therapy is about lower legs. Is about your legs, and physical therapy is about upper body.
Okay.
And
is
so
the waist the divider?
Yes,
Right.
I guess. And so what has happened is I can now walk without any help.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
They don't let me. They insist that I use a rollator, which is the or a but I can.
Right.
And so when there's no one around, I sneak off to the bathroom and take a what's the word I'm looking for? Enormous dump. And so then yes.
That's the word,
And
Sam.
so in a couple of weeks, everything being equal, I will be able to get out of here.
Oh, nice.
And Barbara came by the other day, and in a real departure for her, was extraordinarily nice. She brought by McDonald's. She gave me some sweet and low. She brought my extra pair of glasses. She removed the duct tape from my legs. It was just everything. So that went well.
Hostage video or something.
You say hostage. I say I can't take my hands off of you. So I don't know.
Like I say, now that you're in the Leon Klinghoffer suite, it's just.
Do you know the story about Peter Fogel? It's a myth. It's an what's the word I'm looking for? Not myth.
A legend.
No, it's not that too. I can't remember. When something is not true and it's mythology. God damn it. Anyway. The story is that Fogel was on a cruise ship. You've heard this story, haven't you, Mark?
Yeah, he got kicked off.
But it's not
really?
He swears to God it's not true. Which leads me to believe it is.
Was he working the cruise ship, or
what is that called when you? Oh God. It's
a legend.
Fabrication.
It's
no. It's like you hear these stories about they're growing that weed was growing in the sewers of New York.
Gossip.
Urban legend. It's an urban legend.
Thank you. Yes. And so the story is that Peter was on a cruise ship, and it was he was performing. No, Sam, he was catering, and and it was a Jewish cruise. And the story, as opposed to Pablo Cruz, and the story is that he said on the line, he said, I don't know if you folks know what PLO stands for, but I believe it stands for Push Leon Overboard. And so they landed a helicopter on the pool. They stretched like a tarp on the pool and landed a helicopter. and took him off. And he swears to God it's not true. I kind of believe him.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think what would you have to go through to land a goddamn helicopter on a pool? How bad? Why don't you just let the guy off at the next stop? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, usually they leave you abandoned in a port of call somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Might have been for his own safety.
I know a guy who got kicked off of a ship for bad behavior, comic, and he said it was the best thing that could have possibly happened to him. He said, get this right. He said, I got paid in full, right? And they dropped me off at a Caribbean resort. Oh, darn.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Well, the story from the late 90s was that David Clayton Thomas was performing with some version of Blood, Sweat, and Tears in the Detroit up at Pine Knob. You guys know what Pine Knob is.
Yep.
And it's an outdoor theater. It was in the summertime. And it was very warm. He goes, wow, it's hotter than the last boxcar to Auschwitz up here tonight.
Hotter than what?
The last boxcar to Auschwitz.
Oh my God!
And it's like, the concert was rocking. Everyone's having a good time. He makes that remark, and it is over. I mean, it was on the.
Forgive me. Forgive me. I could not hear what you said. Hotter than the
last boxcar to Auschwitz.
Holy Jesus!
I mean,
well, the one I heard about David Clayton Thomas, which is amazing that both of us have a David Clayton Thomas story.
Clayton Thomas, yeah.
But he's on an airplane. He's on an airplane, and sitting in first class was Cab Calloway.
Oh, really?
And he comes. Well, I don't know, but but he walks up to Cab Calloway, and he says, "Hey, Cab," which I'm sure endeared him to Cab Calloway.
Yeah,
he comes up to me and says, "You and I have something in common." And Calloway doesn't know him, doesn't want to know him. And he says, what do we have in common? He goes, Heidi Ho.
Oh, dear.
Because Cab Calloway was the Heidi Ho guy from, So Heidi, go on, I'm sorry.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears did record that song.
Yes, they did, but it's not the same as, David Clayton. It's not the same as Cab Calloway's. So he called
the Moocher.
Right. So he calls the Cab Calloway calls the flight attendant over, and she says, "Yes, sir. How can I help you?" He says, "If you don't remove this man from first class, I'm going to strangle him." and so she said, "Well, I'm sure we can." And Cab Calloway, according to the story, got up and had to be restrained.
Oh dear.
That he wasn't kidding.
Yeah. Well.
Read more about it in my new book, Old and Cranky, and I Don't Want to Thank You. Yeah, he, oh, by the way, I don't know if I told you this. Can you guys don't hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 77 years old. And when I go down to the workout area to do my therapy, I am easily the youngest person there. I mean, there are people there who are just I'm amazed. I mean, it's like I'm Aaron Rodgers' grandfather, for Christ's sake.
So you're the hot young stud, huh?
You heard.
By the way, fame is a fleeting thing. I was talking to my cab driver, Patrick Mahomes, and. Thank you so much. Hold on. I have to take my pills. Hang on.
Oh dear. All right. There you go.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, by the way, Andy, I've been watching a ton of Peter Cook clips online lately.
Oh, really?
Oh my God.
And I mean, you do sort of similar in the sense that you do improv and characterizations and whatnot. The one thing I've noticed that Peter Cook does, and maybe you've noticed it too, he is so expressive. He's very, he's deadpan, but he does stuff with his eyes that is absolutely astounding in the way that he's able to sort of accentuate things. It's sort of like, because he is so deadpan, so when he moves anything, you notice it.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you.
No, I mean, it does a lot. I mean, it's like if you minimize the movie, why does the Blue Man Group work so well?
Yeah, there you go.
it's like total minimization, and anything they do with their eyes is seen.
Yeah.
So it's like, you
Well,
know,
I just was watching a lot, and I was thinking of you when I was watching. I'm thinking this, Andy like covers a lot. I don't mean the same material, but I mean you and him are definitely two of a sort of the thing.
oh yeah, I mean, I say I do more Jonathan Winter type stuff, but I do like
Indeed, but still, it's improvisational and it's character driven.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and seeing some of the stuff that Cook was able to come up with in his last few years of life, he'd gotten sober finally. He died not long after, but he came on this one show and he did 4 different characters, and it was beautiful. And again, you didn't see Peter Cook, you saw 4 different characters. Yeah, and it's just like, man, John Cleese said that was the funniest human being he ever met, and that's saying something.
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty good. I actually watched the movie The Ricardos, the one with what's her name? The one that was nominated last year about Lucille Ball and
it was the Australian actress that played Lucy.
Yes, yeah.
Can't think of her name.
I can't think of her name right
what
now.
Was her name? Yeah, I can't think of it either.
The one that was married to the Scientology guy.
Yeah, her name was.
Oh, are you talking about the one who's married to Tom Cruise?
Who used to be?
But she's married. She's married. She's married to the Keith Urban now. She's married to the country singer now.
Wow.
Her name is.
Anyway,
and her name
is that in this show they talked to Lucille Ball was talking to these writers that they hired from another show.
Right.
And they presented all these like jokes and stuff like that. And she basically said, I'm a physical comic.
Yeah.
So the joke you're throwing at me, we're not writing jokes. I'm writing physical comedy.
Nicole Kidman.
Thank you.
Right there, Sammy. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all dying of Alzheimer's. Sam is as sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what Keith Urban did, which is really wonderful. He was performing, and somebody told him that Nicole Kidman's father died.
Oh.
And as soon as he found out, he left the stage to fly to Australia to be with her.
Oh, sweet.
You know.
And that's what you do. That's what you do when you're my height and you're married to someone her height.
Yes.
Is he short?
No, the question is she tall?
Is she tall? Right. Yeah, she is tall. Tom Cruise is only what, 5'2" or something?
Yeah,
he's
not very small.
He's a little guy. You know, talk about having lifts in your shoes and Scientology, you know, in your backside, and same thing with well, you've heard the stories about Travolta for years, right? I mean,
about him?
Yeah.
Well, he's not 5'2". I mean, I'm 5.
No, but he does like to play the pink oboe.
Well, holy crap!
The pink oboe.
The pink oboe.
The pink oboe. Yeah.
I don't get that.
I've never heard that.
By the way, holy crap is what the Pope takes. So.
Or leave mine. Yeah. I know. I was borrowing from Peter Cook. I'm sorry. I spent the whole weekend, and he's dead now. So I'm figuring if I borrow a line or two, and he's not using them, right?
Well,
Tom Cruise is 5'7".
There's a comic named Ronnie Shakes, who I know Mark knows.
Yep.
And he was jogging with his wife, I think, and dropped dead of a heart attack. I think it was while he was in Cleveland. Because if you're going to die, anyway. So the story goes that a comic who was taking material from him after he had passed, comics in the audience were going like this: "Dead guy."
Oh, very funny. Very funny.
Well, at least I waited till the corpse was cold and been in the ground for a couple of decades. I mean,
why wait?
Ronnie Shakes was a very funny comic. Very
very very funny.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who really put a downer on dead comics was Mark Center.
Who's that?
You remember him, Mark?
I'm trying to think of how I would know him.
He committed suicide by jumping off a building.
Oh dear.
During the writer's strike.
Oh,
during the writer's strike.
When was this?
during the writer's strike.
Yeah, I think he said it the
Who
first
did he
time,
write?
right?
Who did he write for?
No. I didn't say he was a writer.
He was a comic that wasn't getting any work.
When the comedian struck Mitzi.
Yeah.
Oh, back in '79? That wasn't Mark Sweetman. That was somebody else. Hold on, let me look it up.
Wow.
I heard he was a liberal, so maybe it was Mark left of center.
Hey guys, is it true the Comedy Store is haunted?
You're going to build that up all there. Okay, gotcha. I like that's a long build. Okay.
Hey, I'm asking you guys, is it true the Comedy Store is haunted or no? Is that just BS?
Total myth, urban myth.
No, okay. Well, I mean, you'll do. I mean, if it gets you some publicity, it's good for the show or good for the business.
Here's what happened.
It depends on the psychosis you have. It depends on the psychosis.
Here's what happened.
If you go into that place and you harmed people, you're going to be haunted by that. Okay.
No, here's what happened. The comedians went on strike because Mitzi wouldn't pay them.
Right.
And she said, "What you're doing here, it was the biggest bullshit in the world. What you're doing now is getting a free education."
Steve Lubitkin was the comic.
Wow, was I off?
You were well.
Anyway, so she wouldn't pay them. So they had a meeting with what's his name, Bud Friedman, and he said, "Listen, right now we're getting killed because you guys are on strike, and I can't pay you. But if you come back to work for me, I will pay you. Okay, you have to come back to work." So they did, and that essentially ended the strike.
I remember seeing I believe it was Martin Mull doing some stand-up for Bud Friedman, and he said, "No, I would never make fun of the Jews. I want to work in this business." It was,
you know what John Stewart said. John Stewart, when this guy from the Catholic League, and by the way, the Catholic League is a business card and a post office box.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Okay, it's so he said.
Did we just lose Sam?
Oh no!
Give me. Here I am.
Here you go.
So he says, this guy from the Catholic League, he goes, and the Jews, they really, really like anal sex. And Stewart says, well, let's make something clear. We love anal sex. and then he said, oh no, and the guy said Jews control Hollywood. And he said, we don't control Hollywood. I thought this was such an intelligent thing for Stewart to say. He said, we are preponderant in Hollywood. He said, there's a difference. He said, if we controlled Hollywood, I would be doing the CBS Evening News, and Nora O'Donnell would be doing the weather. So what soup is that you're eating, Mark?
Chicken tortilla. Campbell's
Nice.
chicken tortilla.
Well, this is our cooking session of the show. So
that's right. Well, here's what I did. I opened up a can and I microwaved it for 4 minutes.
You've opened up a can of worms, have you?
Opened up a can of soup.
So here's what happened. Let me give you a little more information about my stay here. I am now down to 144 pounds.
Is that good or bad?
When I came here, I weighed 162.
Holy crap.
Okay. All right.
And, but, I feel fine. I don't feel like, no, I feel fine. It's I'm at a fine weight. It doesn't seem to bother me. Barbara says I need to gain a little bit of pounds. But here's the thing. I've been a little chunky my whole life. So if I can eat like a swine and not gain weight, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I remember when I could eat like a swine. I just throw everything into a trough and just dive in. Nothing like that after a nice Friday night.
The other day I had 2 McDoubles, French fries, and a fish fillet.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Yeah. That would have put me out.
Didn't gain a dram.
Wow.
God, a gram. There's a measure.
But I'm doing the therapy I'm doing, the physical therapy. It's not really tearing pounds off of me.
Right.
It's virtually calisthenics.
God. So Mark, I got 59 minutes right now.
Well, then you better celebrate, brother.
You know what? I got 59 and a half. Thanks. Thanks for the heads up. I was into my chicken tortilla soup so much that
I kind of thought maybe you'd want to know.
no,
it's a
thank
great
you.
story.
I really appreciate that. Anyway, so thanks everybody for stopping by. Let me put on our closing music here. Here we go. Enjoy this, if you will.
It was swell talking to all of you.
It was
I
fun
hope
talking.
I hope I'm back on my feet, literally, in a minute or two, or a week or two.
Okay.
And everybody stay well. And, you know, and when Elon Musk becomes a trillionaire, the revolution will start.
I think the revolution's already started. We'll see you guys next week.
I've seen a lot of protest signs, you know.
Go ahead and link this
that'll
to
get them.
your YouTube or your Facebook.
I'll stop them.
Put a link for this so other people can see our show.
Oh, look, they're protesting with placards. We're through.
Well, they're starting to try and kill off his cars now.
Good night, kids.
Good night.